And Janet said, you know, you and I have been friends for a long time. And she said, I am saying this to only a very few select of my personal friends. And she said, I consider you to be that, even though you didn't take the job. She said, I want you to go back home, and called her by name and said, immediately, I want you to get 6 months' supply of food and water into your house. This individual said to Janet Napolitano, why are you saying this? She said, I cannot tell you. She said, it is drastic. And she said, there is something in the wind. And she said, please, just take my advice and go back home immediately and get 6 months' supply of food and water into your house. Now, when this individual returned back to Arizona, they were in contact with us and told us exactly what had been said by Janet Napolitano. These are buzzwords. The elite must tell in advance what they're going to do. Janet Napolitano knew very well that this individual would tell some of her friends back here, and she never told them not to. And I am begging you to take notice of what's happening in America, to the things that you've heard on these CDs, and do something about it. As a result of all of this, I have become so concerned that I did these CDs, and I'm also doing something else. I have decided, based on what this elitist friend of mine told me, many confessions that he made to me, and things that I have learned from him over the past 35 years, I have decided to produce an entire series. I have kept meticulous notes over these 35 years of everything the elite have told me. I have watched what they were doing in the outsourcing of America and removing our freedoms. I have seen them take the industry from America and take it to other nations so that they basically could bankrupt Chrysler and General Motors and many of the other industries of America. I've seen them put people out on the streets, out of jobs, because they want to bring America to its knees so that they can own it. And I go back again to the fact the elite never take over anything until they can get it free of charge. You taxpayers will actually bail out the industries of America that they want to stay in business, and the rest of them, they will let them fail. Well, I have seen the whole scenario materialize over a 35-year period to the point that I have decided to take my very meticulous notes I've kept over these years and produce an entire series. Now, it's going to take me a year or two to do this, but I want to tell you the titles of some of the things that I'm going to give in this series, and then when they become available, you can have them, because it will be like a course in any college. It will be an education of what the elite have told me. I'm going to deal, first of all, with the subject of the Arab world, the Muslims, jihad. Yes, that's right. This gentleman said to me on the phone one day, he said, Chaplain, you don't really understand the Arab mind. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I live there. He said, I produced the oil fields in United Arab Emirates and in Dubai. And he said, I want to tell you some things about Saudi Arabia and other countries. And he went into detail explaining all of this to me. And I hope to be able to do this for you and to actually give you a course on this. I'm going to produce another series of DVDs entitled China, Russia, and George Herbert Bush. You do realize that China was a closed society 75 to 80 years ago. They weren't doing business with anybody outside. And all of a sudden, George Herbert Bush became the ambassador to China, who later became the president of the United States of America, who was the daddy of our former Bush president. And he at one time was president himself after Reagan. And you'll remember it. All of this is a story of intrigue, and the way that the elite have told it to me is startling. I'm going to produce a whole series on China, Russia, and George Herbert Bush. I'm going to produce another series entitled Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan. They've never told us why we're in Afghanistan, but I know why. They've told me. In it will be Henry Kissinger and Abner Dethridge. Oh, I know, Abner Dethridge doesn't mean anything to you, but he means a lot to me, because Abner Dethridge was the man who took the message from President Bush, Daddy Bush, to Saddam. We will do nothing if you decide to take over Kuwait. You remember, Kuwait and Iraq, prior to the last World War, was one country. And basically what Saddam was doing was going back in and taking over his own land. The message was actually sent, Abner Dethridge, to Saddam to say, we won't do anything. It was a trap. President Bush knew all the time that he was going to go in there and do exactly what he did because of a reason which involves Iran and Iraq would not sign an agreement with Henry Kissinger. You're going to be intrigued by this. I plan to produce a series entitled The New World Order. I've given part of it here today, but I'll give more. The Devil's Messiah. This needs to have an entire series produced on it. Another series entitled America and the Elite. Their most difficult challenge. The greatest challenge in the world that the elite have had in setting up their New World Order is the United States of America. They've had no trouble with Europe. The euro, of course, is going to crash, as I gave you earlier in our CDs. You'll see it crash, and you've got somewhere in the neighborhood of X number of days before the American dollar. And you'd better do something in that period of time. Whenever you see the euro, whenever you see the European Union have a major problem, as was described by the individual that you heard earlier, and whenever you see the euro crash, you had better do something about the paper you have. Now, that's every kind of paper from stocks to bonds to retirement income to American dollars that you may have between the mattress. You've got X number of days to do something about that. I need to produce the most difficult challenge that the elite have had, so they have let me know, is the United States of America. They had to destroy our heritage, our God, in order to be able to take us over. Again, I need to deal with the subject of Gull Island and the Arctic Wildlife Refuge. This would be a series within its own. The Bakken Reserve and the fact that we could be totally independent from the rest of the world as far as energy and crude oil and natural gas. We have been betrayed by Congress. You literally have seen a horror story take place in the Congress of the United States of America because they've been bought off. This is a story that needs to be told. Abiotic oil and peak oil and the super deep wells is something else. And what happened in the Gulf of Mexico. This would easily make an entire DVD set. Arab oil fields and the oil companies. The American debt and how it all fits in with Henry Kissinger and Iraq and Iran and Saddam. What a story that the elite have told me over the years with all of this. China and George Herbert Bush. And China the big one, he said, the elite told me. All of these things are things that need to be put into DVD, and hopefully over these next few months I'll be able to do that. But in the meantime, there are 12 things that in light of what you've heard on these CDs and in light of what the elite have told me, there are 12 things that you need to do immediately. Now, you have pencils and paper. I hope you'll jot them down and help your friends and neighbors understand this. This is a checklist, a must list of what you need to do immediately in light of what's happening to America. There's no doubt but that the fact that America is there in the end times. It's just what state we will be in and what the elite will be doing with America at that point in light of the fact that they want to make China and other countries the big ones at that point. So watch China and Russia, as I've been told, and I've tried to express this to you, that the elite have said to me, don't pay any attention to what's going on in North and South Korea. What's happening in the Middle East, whenever we have a skirmish over there, don't let it bother you at all. The big skirmish will come later. Right now, you need to focus your attention on Russia and China. They are the ones. What takes place there is going to affect your dinner table in the United States of America in a massive way. And they have their plans for China also. They know what they're doing to America. The outsourcing, the dismantling of America, the taking of our jobs abroad. But at the same time, we are buying Chinese products, and China owns so much of our national debt that when the American dollar crashes, they will bring America to its, they will bring China, not only America, and not only the euro. You see, this is a worldwide new world order. And the plans of the elite are to control China as well as the United States of America, as well as the euro. And every bit of this will be brought about through the destruction of their currencies, the dismantling of the countries, and bringing them to a point where they can literally own everything that's there. They want total control of the entire world is their ultimate goal. In the meantime, for you and me to survive in the United States of America under the conditions that they plan to bring this country to, what do you need to do? I'd like to give you 12 things. Number one, please do what Janet Napolitano said to this individual when she went to Washington the other day. She said, get 6 months of food and water. Oh, I know. There's going to be plenty of food on the grocery store shelves. There will not be empty shelves on the grocery stores. You will have plenty of produce and other food in the stores. There is going to be no shortage of food and water. There is going to be a shortage of a currency with any value in which to purchase that food and water. And if you want it right now, do what Janet Napolitano said to this individual. Get yourself 6 months of food. Secondly, stock market. Oh, I beg of you to take note of what you've heard on these CDs, and if you have anything involved in Wall Street, take action immediately. These are decisions you'll have to make. I cannot tell you what to do, but listen to Tony Robbins. You'll find him on YouTube. Just type in Tony Robbins, Robins. If you don't want to believe me, then believe a person who deals in stocks every day, and just listen to what this man is saying. Cash. You need to have some in your house. What are you going to do whenever the European Union crashes and you have X number of days or weeks in order to set your house in order? The cash is going to be king. But what you have in the bank may not even do you any good. You may not be able to write. You may not be able to go to the machine and pull cash out. You may not be able to go to the bank and pull out but a certain amount. But if you have it, you need to make preparations right now to have at least a month or two supply in your personal hand in order to be able to maintain yourself when cash is king in the interim period that's going to take place there. 401ks, IRAs, retirement funds, you cannot depend on them. There's some things that you can do with some of these right now. And those of you who can and are willing to, you decide for yourself what you're going to do. Gold and silver. I know it's very high priced. Many of us can't afford it anymore. You need to have some. The elite have told me that it is the only thing that will maintain its value and continue to go up. And hold it. Once you get it, hold it. Don't take paper. Don't let some gold dealer say, okay, we'll give you a piece of paper saying we're holding it in our vault. Not on your life. This is something you hold in your hands, and you decide what to do with it. Travel is going to be affected by all of this. Expect disruptions. Airline fares are going up. When gasoline goes to $4 to $6 a gallon, crude oil goes to $150 to $200 a barrel, it is going to drastically affect what the airlines and the trucking lines and even the railroads do in America. You need to take some thought as to what you're going to do in light of this. Most people can't do it, but pay off your debts. I care not what it takes for you to do it. Downsize, do anything you have to. Get a paid-for roof over your head, even if it's nothing but a log cabin. When the elite have taken care of this mortgage-backed security problem through the Treasury, through the Federal Reserve, you will basically be making your house payment to the Federal Reserve at that point. They will own every mortgaged piece of real estate in the United States of America, whether it be commercial or residential. You need a paid-for roof over your head. Somehow find a way to do it, and do it quickly, because that mortgage of yours is going to be worth whatever they want that piece of paper to be worth. Government intervention into your life. Be prepared for it. It is going to take place. There will be more and more as time goes by. Prepare, as many of the elite have done. Firearms, make up your mind what you need to do and do something about it. Spiritually, set your spiritual house in order and do it as quickly as you can. I made a survey of where the elite lived. I went to some of them. I asked them what they were doing. What have they done? I have not found a single elitist that I know that lives in a city. Every single one of them have moved out someplace into the wide open spaces. Why? They know what the inevitable is going to do and to be. And as a result, they have moved out somewhere else.